Agriculture plays a pivotal role in the lives of most Kenyans, with close to 70% of the population, mainly women, relying on it. Yet, Kenya's agricultural potential has been low, with productivity reported to be on a gradual decline, affecting families, particularly in the rural areas. At the same time, market participation amongst rural farmers is still wanting, with most of them producing to the market instead of for the market. This is according to the Farm Market Alliance Country Coordinator George Njoroge.
If you look at agriculture in Kenya, we don't produce enough for the consumers. So we can't say that we lack market for agriculture produce. But the cost of sourcing the produce from the farmer by the private sector players and public sector players is quite heavy, because farmers are disaggregated into small numbers. Aggregating from an individual farmer becomes very expensive, because they only maybe have 2 bags or a bag. So for any market, sourcing from them becomes quite expensive. So the solution here is around aggregating these farmers into economic numbers, so that if you pick 2 bags from as many farmers as possible, you are able to aggregate enough volumes that would attract an aggregator to come and buy from them at much lower costs and build a relationship. By organizing farmers, you can also have to build a relationship with the market, so that farmers start producing for the market, not to market. In Kenya, we have been producing to market. Farmers produce and then they start figuring out where to take it, because there exists no relationship between the farmer and the market.
About 80% of Kenya's population lives in rural areas, with half of this proportion being poor. The rural population mainly depends on small-scale agriculture for food and income, suggesting that smallholder agriculture remains the major engine of rural growth and livelihood improvement for any pathway that can lift large numbers of rural poor out of poverty. Meeting the challenge of reducing poverty and improving rural incomes will require some form of transformation out of the semi-subsistence production systems that currently characterize much of rural Africa, Kenya included, to a more commercialized agriculture.
Many of the farmers, you find they are loss making, so progressively the investment is wiped out by the losses, and they are not even able to produce enough for themselves. We also have an age problem. The average age of a farmer in Kenya is 60 years. With the licensing cost of labor, licensing cost of inputs, they are not able to produce. Those who are doing 4 or 5 acres are now doing 1 acre with rudimentary farming practices than they used to do a number of years ago. So they are sinking further down into poverty. Over and above the vagaries of nature, the climate change has also really hit on the farmers, and predominantly food production is driven by rainfall. So with reduced precipitation, poor farming practices, productivity has gone down. So they are not even able to generate enough food for themselves, not even forgetting what they produce for the market.
This in turn translates to a question of food security, and according to Farm to Market Alliance, farmers in rural areas are unable to generate enough income to even buy foodstuff for their own consumption.
If you look at the food insecurity, it's worse in the rural areas than urban areas, because the urban areas, income generation exists, so they are able to buy. In rural areas, the farmers are not able to generate enough income to even continue producing. So progressively they sink into food insecure zones.
And this is even happening in some of the most productive regions of the country, such as Meru County, which is perceived to be food secure.
About Meru County, most of the people will actually see it as a food secure county, because sometimes even the vegetation cover, when you look at the satellite images, you realize like the entire of Meru is actually green. But sometimes people forget we are also proud owners of agroforestry and other plants like Kimera, which will normally make our county look green in color, but deep down we are also seeing a shift whereby, like even in some of the high potential areas, we are getting more of frequent crop failure. So it is like the climate change is impacting on the agriculture of Meru and subsequently causing a lot of food insecurity.
With climate change taking a toll on food production worldwide, farmers in rural Kenya are being urged to embrace climate-smart technologies such as conservation agriculture, where minimum tillage of the soil is practiced when planting using the right equipment. Farm equipment expert Benson Kenyanjui says that it is a well-known fact that conventional plowing using disc plows causes a hard pan and compaction underground. Very shallow depths are usually achieved with conventional plowing. Generally, disc plowing will require at least 2 harrow passes to obtain a suitable seedbed. This leaves the soil very susceptible to wind and water erosion. The more you disturb the soils, the more you destroy soil-building microorganisms. Turning soil exposes your valuable moisture to the sun, thus burning the moisture away.
For so many years, our soils has been destroyed by use of disc plows. And this time around, we have come out with reapers and chisels. These chisels, they are able to break the hardy pans that have been done by the disc plow. And when you are using this chisel plow, it is very good for high production, less fuel used by the tractors, and as well as it is quicker than the disc plow. We advise the farmers who are farming maize to use these. The difference between this time and the other, it is 75 centimeter. That is recommended distance between a line of the maize and the other line. This is for breaking the hardy pan as well as going down to the soil. This one is a coulter disc. It is used to cut the leftovers in the land, so that can be able to allow the tine to get into the soil. The roller at the back of this is used to, it is called a crab roller. And this crab roller, its work is to break the hardy pans which are blocked up by the tine. And the technology here is to loosen the soil so that when the rain comes, the water will be able to penetrate down the soil. So you are able to, we are encouraging farmers when they are using this, they are supposed to use it during the sunny season, so that you are able to prepare the land as well as you are able to plant during a proper time. So we have 2 tine, as I have said. These are 2 tine. We have 3 tine, and we also have 4 tine reaper. This product is being manufactured by our company called Dume Agricultural Machinery. And as I have said earlier, it is based in Gilgil, Nakuru County.
Adoption of these technologies is, however, hampered by various challenges, among them availability, cost, and lack of proper capacity building for farmers.
The adoption rate is not that high, because this is an effort that needs many partners to come together so that they can be able to address it. We need partnership from the government, we need partnership from the private sector, and we also need partnership even from the input companies that are producing different technologies. So yes, adoption is not so high, but we are heading to the right direction. We are working very closely with the county governments, the Department of Agriculture, wherever we are operating in the 13 counties. For you to deploy a technology in agriculture, you need to employ resources. You need to invest. So we need more investment in terms of government budget allocation. We need more investment in terms of the private partnership with the public sector. We need more investment that comes in form of donor funding. And therefore, this partnership is what we are talking about. That's why we are talking about partnership, because there is no one single entity that can be able to drive the agricultural policy and whatever we need to achieve in agriculture if they go alone. That's why we are looking for partnerships. So the information is there, and we are trying to make sure that farmers get this information. Secondly, technologies are not cheap. They are expensive, and that's why We are now working with the technology manufacturers to see ways in which they can come up with technologies that address the needs of the smallholder farmers. Technologies which are specific, that can address the needs of the smallholder farmers, so that farmers can be able to afford these technologies. Anytime we talk about technology, we look at two aspects. We look at the convenience of this technology, the advantages that the technology will be bringing to the table. Secondly, we look at the affordability of these technologies. So we're also trying to look at how affordable are these technologies even before we deploy them to the farmers.
Before I joined FTMA, I was farming 1 acre, but for now I'm farming more than 20 acres. What does that one tell you? It tells you that I've grown from 1 acre to 20 acres. It has uplifted me from a smallholder farmer to a commercial farmer, of which it means also it has increased in my pocket from the little money I was getting to a great amount of money now I'm earning. It has come a point that the climate has changed. The climate has changed, and we have to cope with this climate through practicing climate smart agriculture. And this smart climate agriculture is through doing mechanization, which is favorable to the climate and to the soil. And this comes out by doing reaping. There is a way that we are now doing the reaping, or how we are preparing the farms compared to the first one which we were doing. In first we were using disc, but now we are using reapers. And the difference in between the reaper and the disc, when you do reaping, even if the rain is little, you can harvest. But when you are using the disc and the rain is little, you have total loss.
Agricultural commercialization refers to the shift from subsistence production to an increasingly complex production and consumption system based on the market. In turn, the use of modern technologies can result in higher productivity and production entering markets. For KTN Farmers TV, I'm Paul Thiongo.